For those of you in the audience who've not attended one of these hearings recently, let me review our normal procedure, please. At the beginning, staff will introduce each item for consideration. If you'd like to speak, please fill out the form that's out in the lobby and hand it to our clerk here, and also indicate on there the item number that you'd like to speak about and whether you are in favor of or opposed to that matter. When we get to each item, the applicant and his or her supporters will speak first. Those in opposition to the request will be heard next. Then the applicant will be given a chance for rebuttal. Comments should be restricted to pertinent information directly related to what's before us tonight, not whether or not someone's been a good neighbor or a bad neighbor. If you're an individual, you'll have 3 minutes for your comments. If you represent a group, you'll have 6 minutes for your comments. Speakers, as the item's being introduced, if you could start moving closer to the podium, if you feel like you'd like to share comments with us tonight. Please identify yourselves clearly for the record by stating your name and address. And each speaker should be given respectful and courteous attention. We may ask questions of each person, we may not. Any information you share will be kept as part of the record. If you have items that are on a digital device, please make sure to coordinate with staff to send a copy of that, just so we keep it in the records. After everything is finished, I'll ask for a motion from the board. Once a motion has been made and seconded, discussion will be closed to the floor. Following board discussion, a vote will then be taken. During voting, board members who do not cast objecting votes are considered to have voted in support of the motion. At the end, any person aggrieved by any decision of this board may, within 15 days, file an appeal with the Board of County Commissioners. And you can do that through the Planning and Development Division at the county, and you can coordinate with staff after the meeting and they can help you with that. So having said that, let us start with our first item.
Good evening, Angie Gates. Item number 1 was continued from last month because we found a discrepancy in the way the setback was being measured. So the applicant went back, remeasured, and found out that it was a foot less. So they are before us again this month. The request is for a front yard south setback variance from 25 feet to 15 feet for an addition in the R1A Single Family Dwelling District and the Tanglewood Section 3 subdivision located at 1875 Maywood Road. The proposed garage addition will be 624 square feet and will encroach 10 feet to the required front yard south setback. There have not been any prior variances for this subject property, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? Seeing none, is the applicant here? Yes, sir. Anything you'd like to share with us?
Not anything more than I did last week, unless you all have any questions for me with regards to the...
My colleague, I don't think, was here during that time, so maybe if you could just share maybe a few, if you don't mind, maybe just a quick minute summarizing what you
Sure.
said last time.
William Leopard, 1875 Maywood Road in Winter Park. Last week, there was a question on the way that the property is positioned, the house on the property, and so there was a little question on the measurement for that. And so I went back and had the architect redraw it and determine that we were off slightly from the original request at 16 feet.
Anything else? Gentlemen, questions? The only question I have is, have you spoken with your neighbors and gotten their thoughts on what you're hoping to do?
Yeah, they're excited for me to get started.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience to speak in support of this? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience to speak in opposition? All right. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
Item number 2 is a request for a rear yard setback variance from 30 feet to 7 feet for an addition in the R1A Single Family Dwelling District and the Winter Woods Unit 1 subdivision located at 2276 King Henry's Court. The applicant is proposing to build a 686 square foot master bedroom suite addition that will encroach 23 feet into the required rear yard setback. One letter of support was submitted from the neighbor located at 2272 King Henry's Court. There have not been any prior variances approved for the subject property, and we just did a quick double check to see if any variances were approved, and we couldn't find any. So this concludes my presentation.
Very good. Gentlemen, any questions?
No,
Ms. Angie,
Mr.
just
Chair.
one quick question. What is that, what to me looks like a wilderness preserve behind the applicant's property? Do we know what that is?
Yes.
If not, the applicants are indicating they can tell me.
It's actually owned by the Loma Church. It's owned by a church that is just not cleared back.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right, thank you. Sir, the applicant here?
Yes.
If you'd please step up to the microphone and share with us your name and address for the record.
Earl Mayer, 2276 King Henry's Court, Winter Park.
All right, sir.
32792.
What do you have to share with us?
You can see the current addition that goes back to the same distance that we're proposing already. That was permitted probably in the early 70s at that time, so we already have the existing structure that already goes to the same distance that we're proposing to add on to.
Piece of cake. Yeah. Gentlemen, any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Please.
Questions. So it appears that you acquired the house in '87,
That sounds about right.
and that addition in the back was already existing when you bought it?
Yes, and they indicated that it was permitted at the time
All
also.
right. And I see in
And
the...
it's not in the electronic records because it was done eons ago.
Okay. So that's not your dining room. Your dining room is to the side of the house.
Yes, sir.
The dining room addition that I
To
see
the
on the
other side
property
of where the
appraiser.
drawing is.
2001? Okay. So what you're proposing to add to the house is going to be flush with the existing back wall?
Yes.
Not flush with it. You can see
More
the
or
back
less.
wall of our current house where it's not shaded. You see the
Yeah.
arrow is the addition, and it doesn't go all the way up to the wall. We have approximately 7 feet to the back
It's in
brick wall
line.
that's about this high.
I think he's asking if it's in line.
It's in line.
It's flush with the house, not with your...
Yeah.
Yes,
your
yeah,
fence.
in line with the
Okay.
house, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience to speak in support of this? Yes, ma'am?
She mentioned that there was a...
I'm sorry, if you're going to share, could you please give us your name and address?
I'm sorry. Tina Mayer, 2276 King Henry's Court, Winter
Yes,
Park,
ma'am.
Florida. I think Angie had mentioned there was one letter of support. I thought we submitted 2 letters on each side, but,
Only have one.
okay. Is that a-
We do have two.
We have two.
Okay.
We have 2 properties showing
Yes.
both of your side neighbors.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
ma'am.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
2 on ours.
All right,
Oh,
thank you.
yes, 2. It was, I
Okay,
said it
no
wrong.
worries. I just
My
wanted to point
apologies.
that out.
Never hurts to double check.
Yes.
Anyone to speak in support of this matter? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this matter? Seeing none, gentlemen,
Move to approve.
we have a move to approve. Do we have a second
Second,
for discussion?
yes.
All right, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts were that we're using the existing back wall of the house as a benchmark for it's not going to be impinging any further into the required setback. However, due to the date when this addition was made to the house, it doesn't appear that a permit or a variance was sought or approved for that addition being that close to the back property line in the first place. Now, I don't know if the rules were different back in the 1970s when that addition was done, but we're using that addition as a precedent to allow further expansion onto the house, a similar distance away from the back property line, but how confident are we that that addition was constructed with the approval of the county and in compliance with whatever the county rules were at the time?
Well, my thinking on that, and the county attorney can correct me if I'm wrong on that, is that we don't have, there's really don't have a precedent or anything that's binding on us. We take each individual matter as it comes before us, and it's just up to your good judgment whether this particular application before us is something that we should approve. My personal take on it is when something's been sitting this long and nobody's complained, when the government hasn't stepped forward to say, hey, you've done something wrong, I think the property owner's kind of got a right to rely on that, but that's just me.
And I believe there's actually a statute to that actually as well. I believe that if it's precursors, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, attorney?
The estoppel's pretty tough to get against the government, though, isn't it?
Joe, I would just defer to staff on that particular question right now, if she has any input on it.
Yeah.
But it is, I know in previous decisions that we've made, something like this, where it's so early, and a precedent it is so early from when proper records were kept, et cetera, then yeah, that's kind of what we've gone off of.
Fair enough.
So, we have a motion and a second. Anything else y'all want to chat about? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Enjoy.
Now I got to spend money.
Lucky.
Item number 3 is a request for a height variance from 6.5 feet to 8 feet for a fence in the R1AA Single Family Dwelling District and the Montclair subdivision located at 9892 Montclair Circle. The applicant is requesting to place 47 linear feet of 8-foot-high privacy fence along the east property line. The Montclair Homeowners Association has approved the proposed 8-foot fencing, and there have not been any prior variances for the subject property, and this concludes my presentation.
Gentlemen, do you have any questions for staff? Is the applicant here? Come on down. You could tell us your name and address,
Good
please, sir.
evening. Mike Lombardo, 9892 Montclair Circle.
What do you have to share, sir?
So we're looking for just a little more privacy in our backyard. You can see from the pictures here that my yard and the neighbors are the two highest in the neighborhood. So when I stand on my back porch, or if he stands in his yard, it's very easy to see over the current fence, giving a little privacy to myself and my family. So I know our HOA has already approved this. All the neighbors that we've talked to are across the street and on the other side are approval of this too. And as you can see, the fence is not the most appealing looking, so we're looking to also make sure that it looks a much nicer fence as well.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir. And gentlemen? Yes, sir.
Have you spoke with your neighbors? Because that's going to be significantly higher, 2 extra feet. I noticed there was nothing in here about that. Did your neighbor say anything?
I spoke to the one neighbor on the side that this faces, and I asked if he was in approval or not, and he said it's kind of tall, and he said, see what the HOA says. That's the conversation I had with him.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Anyone in the audience to speak in support of this matter? Yes, sir. If you could share with us your name and address, please.
My last name is Leon Maurizio, 9888 Montclair.
Yes, sir. What do you have
I'm
for
his
us?
next door neighbor. My house is the one that you see on the opposite side. He has a 6-foot fence, which is really not 6 foot. Most of his fence is 5.5, which is a lot lower. And if you would bring it up to 6 feet, which is what the bylaws say in the subdivision, it will increase half foot. But on top of his fence, he planted bougainvilleas, which they grow 4 feet on top of his fence. So he has about 8.5 to 9.5, to between 8.5 and 9 feet of privacy. Bougainvilleas are pretty thick. You can't see through them. I brought pictures here to show you.
I apologize. Are you speaking in support of the application?
No, against.
Let's put a pause on that just for our procedure, because we haven't, is there anyone here to also speak in support of the application? All right, we'll go ahead. I apologize, it's just we stepped in just
Yeah,
a
I'm
little bit
sorry, I
ahead
got
there, but that's fine.
confused.
Please continue.
So he planted the bougainvillea for privacy. As I said, he has, the bougainvillea has grown out of control and is been growing and is over 4 feet over the existing fence. So there is sufficient privacy created by the vegetation right now. I don't think it's necessary to build an 8-foot fence, which is a pretty big fence, and it will block my view from my family room and from my porch. As I sit now, I can barely see the sky with the bougainvillea. And so I don't see how this creates more privacy for him. What I suggest, if it's changing the fence, to bring the fence to the right height, which is approximately 6 feet. So he'll gain half foot or more with a new fence. And that, on top of the vegetation he already has, I think is sufficient. I think an 8-foot fence is going to be ugly to look at. It's going to decrease the value of my property. The only reason why the other neighbor probably agreed is because there is really nothing. He has the pool, the porch, all his chairs, and the barbecue all on my side and not on their side. So for them to look at a 8-foot fence is not a problem, but for me it is.
Got you. Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, any questions?
If he tears this fence up, like you say, and puts it back up to 6 feet, you understand that most of that vegetation is also going to disappear, because if you're putting new fence footers in, it's going to kill the landscape as well.
Yes, I can agree on the bougainvillea, because the bougainvillea grows all over.
I'm familiar.
And it comes on my side. And when he needs to trim it, he comes into my property, cuts it from my side, and it's also, as it grows, it's thorny, and that is a very narrow passage for me. As you can see the bougainvillea, how high it is from this view. Look at the height of that bougainvillea. This is what I see from my family room and my porch. This is what I'm looking at. So now you add 2 more feet of fence, and these are measurements that I took of his fence, how much lower than 72 inches it is now. So my point is, if he brings the fence up to a 6-foot height, I will not be able to see that.
What is it that you're wanting to see that you won't be able to see?
Well, I would like to sit in my porch and look at the sky, but I can't see it,
Gentlemen, any other questions?
or other plants.
Tom, do you have any questions?
Yes, clarification question for staff, if I may. The first page of this application references, on the motion recommendation section, deny, approve, continue, references a height variance from 6.5 feet to 8 feet. So I'm led to believe that the maximum allowable fence height
Yes.
with no variance is 6.5?
Correct.
So demonstrated that the height of that fence is 5.5,
On his side,
then an additional foot could be added to the fence with no variance being necessary, correct?
yes.
Okay.
That's a new variance as well, I believe. Staff, correct me if I'm wrong, used to be 6, it's now 6.5?
No, it's 6.5, always
6.5?
has been.
It's always been,
6.5.
okay. I thought it was 6, sorry.
The question I have, Mr. Leon, is a few minutes ago when Mr. Lombardo was chatting with us, he had said that you would be okay with it if the homeowners association was okay with it. Is that your memory of the conversation? Or do you remember that
No,
conversation?
I have never been in favor of this, never.
That was the other.
Or was the other name?
That was the other.
My apologies, I
was the other
misunderstood. Yep. All right, thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience to speak against this matter? Gentlemen, it's your pleasure.
Tom.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve so that we can have a discussion.
Motion to approve for conversation. We have a second? Just for consideration.
All right. Yeah, second.
Okay, what are your thoughts?
Something you always come back to is, can the neighbors take their dispute away from the board, come up with a compromise on their own that will not require the intervention of us? As it stands, the fence is 5.5 feet. The homeowner is asking for 8. That's an additional 2.5. The homeowner can always reconstruct the fence with a height of 6.5 feet, and we wouldn't even need to be involved in that. And the other neighbor would have, well, might not be 100% satisfied with it, but that would be well within the homeowner's rights to have the maximum allowable. I'm thinking there might be room here for the neighbors to have their discussion, see if 6.5 would be an acceptable compromise height for this fence.
No, I agree. It's, we always are very, very mindful of what neighbors say, and what, because, you know, as you said, it's the gamut of decreasing property values, it's running that risk, it's always that. But having neighbors talking to neighbors, getting along with neighbors, they don't have to invite each other over for Christmas parties, but just as long as they can get, you know, have some sort of, so I think it's a very good idea when we ask that.
Sir, if you could, please. So the question from the board to you, and this is wholly within your rights. I think you're hearing, who knows how everybody's going to vote.
Yeah.
But would you be open to the idea we could continue till the end of this meeting voting on this matter? Perhaps you can chat with your neighbor and maybe find a compromise. But if you want us to go ahead and consider and vote on it now, we'll do that.
I think I'd still like you to consider, can I share a few rebuttal points to what he said too?
No, sir, the floor's been closed.
I thought I was supposed to get a rebuttal after his opposing.
You're right. Yeah, just 3 minutes at most, please.
Yeah, it'll be very quick. So I just wanted to share a few things too. And again, we don't always see eye to eye, my neighbor and I try to be as kind as I can. But as you can see too, I wanted to point out two things that we left off there. So if you look at one, the spot where it's the corner of my house that goes right into my kitchen is right there with the palms. So again, those palms used to be 3 feet taller and give me plenty of privacy until the frost hit them, and then they all got back. The same thing with bougainvillea. That's the thing. The frost hits it, and then my privacy is gone. And that's what we're trying to alleviate here now, is that we have continuous privacy. And as far as he's talking about too, then he won't have the bougainvillea that he's told me before he likes. I've asked it, but he wanted me to trim it. If my fence is taller, it won't be in his yard anymore, and nor will I need to trim it on that side because it won't be there on his side. The other thing too is we are only asking for, I believe is it 40, I don't have the exact measurement from me. I want to say it's like 40 feet of the 8-foot fence. So that takes it just past my back porch. That just brings it to right, it's not even halfway down the backyard. So that sky view that he wants out of his back porch is still the whole other half of the backyard. So it's not all the way down. Because again, I agree. I just want that privacy for my back porch, and the rest of the yard is back down to that 6.5 foot. So I just want to make sure you guys saw those details as well.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
So we have on the table a motion to approve that's been seconded. Don, do you want to withdraw that motion, or do you want us to vote on it as it's currently made?
The homeowner, the applicant himself requested that we go ahead and vote as it stands.
But I'm saying on your current,
So-
your motion to approve, do you want that still to be voted on, or you want or do you want to do something different?
Leave it on the table.
I'm sorry?
Let's proceed with it.
All right. So we have a motion on the table. It's been seconded to approve. All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
All right. You have 15 days, sir, to appeal this matter. After the hearing or tomorrow, you can communicate with staff, and they'll help you with that process if that's something you'd like to do. All right, our next matter?
Okay. Item number 4 is a request for a height variance from 6.5 feet to 8 feet for a fence in the R1A Single Family Dwelling District and the Lake Mills Shores subdivision located at 930 Magnolia Drive. 10 letters of support were received from surrounding neighbors. A code enforcement violation, 23-187, was issued for this structure, resulting in the necessity of a variance, and there have not been any prior variances for the subject property. This concludes my presentation.
Gentlemen, any questions for staff? Is the applicant here? Would you like to come on down if you'd like to? And please share with us your name and address.
Good evening, Nicholas Toy, 930 Magnolia Drive, Chiliota. So the fence has already been constructed, and I want to apologize for not getting proper permits.
Shame.
I know, this is me and my wife's first home, and after Hurricane Nicole and Ian, it took our fence away, so last October, me and my guys went out there, built the fence, didn't really think anything of it because we didn't have an HOA, so figured, all right, let's go ahead and do this. Spoke to all the neighbors prior to that, saying, hey, do you care if I do 8 foot, because our property sits lower, as seen in pictures, and it varies anywhere from 15 inches to almost 2 feet lower in areas. So by doing the 8 foot fence, we were able to go out into our backyard and actually enjoy it versus this neighbor coming out and be like, hey, what's going on, and so, and you're wearing our pool, they're hanging out in their back patio, can't really enjoy our privacy. Went around and talked to all the neighbors, got them all signed paper saying, hey, we don't care, we enjoy it, it's fine. So, yeah.
Gentlemen, any questions?
I know you're going to ask because I was thinking the same thing.
Because I have it up on my
Yes,
screen.
sir.
Go ahead
I
and
was
ask.
looking at it earlier.
Go ahead.
941.
940.
940, sorry. We're showing a block that nothing was received, neither good or bad.
They're renters that live there. The owner is named Roy, lives somewhere in Winter Springs, really don't know
Did
who
we
that
talk
is.
to Roy?
I don't know him.
You don't know him? Okay.
No, not at all. We've owned the house for now about 2 years.
Okay.
And the people who live there are just renters, don't really see them, don't really talk to them. They're just kind of keep to themselves. They're an older couple. Whenever I was doing the fence originally, I saw them, said, hey, doing an 8 foot fence. They said, I don't care. When it came around to going around and getting signatures and everything, just never really approached or talked to them. So they were the only people I couldn't get, but they were renters, so I really didn't push the issue.
Understand. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I can also confirm that the property with the renters does not have a homestead.
Thank you.
Wow, someone actually did it right. Is there anyone else here to speak in support of this matter? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this? It's the pleasure of the board.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Enjoy your new fence, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 5 is for 2 variance requests. The first request is for wall signs from 1 sign to 2 signs for EOS Fitness. And the second variance is for maximum allowable copy area variance from 30 square feet to 280.66 square feet for a sign in the C2 Retail Commercial District. The subject property is in the Oxford Place Overlay District, which was adopted on December 11th, 2018, subsequent to the construction of the plaza on the subject property. The first request was to construct 2 wall signs for the EOS Fitness within the Oxford Place overlay requirement of 1 wall sign per tenant. The second request is for the subject property to increase the allowable wall sign requirement from 30 square feet per tenant for a total of, and for some reason I put it in here twice because originally they had 140, but they have 2 signs, so each sign are going to be the same. So it would be 280.66 square feet. A variance request for the same plaza was approved for, from 1 wall sign to 5 wall signs for the floor and decor. and 2 wall sign total copy area from 90 square feet to 634.97 square feet. And this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? All right, is the applicant here? Come on down, please. If you please, sir, would share with us your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Mark Brinchley. My address is 3790 Beacon Ridge Way, Claremont, Florida. And as was mentioned, this does seem like a very large request. 30 square feet per tenant is the maximum size for signs in the this historic or this special district. It's not historic?
Yes.
Is it
No,
historic?
it's the Oxford.
Oxford, but is it a historic district or just an economic? Okay. Overlay
It's an
district.
overlay district.
So,
Excuse me, sir, before you continue, what exactly is your relationship to the business?
I represent the owner as an agent.
Understood, thank you.
I want to show you exactly these signs that are proposed, so you can see that they're not garish and they are clearly within the proportion of the building. So as was mentioned, 140 square feet per sign, 4 feet high, 30 feet long. And this is, the top one is the northeast elevation facing northeast to US Highway, or State Highway 438. And the bottom elevation is the southeast elevation facing to Oxford Road. You see that they are very appropriately proportioned to the building and so forth. And if this was not within the Hudson or the Oxford Road district, they would be allowed 330 square feet per elevation because it's 2 square feet per 1 linear foot of building frontage. But because they are in the Oxford, this property does touch the Oxford Road, and so it's clearly within that jurisdiction. And it was mentioned there was the variance granted for the store for the, I wanted to show you that. This is looking southwest at the floor and decor building. You see the EOS Fitness on the far right. If you were to look at 30 square feet, which is the maximum per the district regulations, the furthest sign on the store front, that's granted the variance, is 44 square feet. You can hardly read what it is, but that would be that's even larger than the maximum sign allowed for the EOS Fitness. EOS Fitness is set back from SR 436, over 600 feet. So it's well within that property, and you can see Oxford Place is on the, Oxford Road is on the left. And it's set back 300 feet from the street. Typically, if you were to look at traditional commercial setbacks where the codes of 2 square feet are responding to a typical setback in a commercial lot is typically 100 feet. You have a buffer in front, a landscape buffer, then you have a 60-foot wide, maybe 65-foot wide parking area, and then you have sidewalk area, and then you have the building. This is a typical commercial setback. And so at 2 square feet per linear foot, that's a pretty decent observation and visibility factor. But when you get back 600 feet, and you only allowed 30 square feet because it's in the special district, you can see the complications that this building is going to be dealing with. Now, I'm in Oxford Road Special District has been set apart to encourage businesses that are on Oxford Road to show that that the Oxford Road is the principal use for multi-uses and so forth. And that's why it's critical that this building have visibility from Oxford Road to show that this is a mixed-use street, showing this building at that location. Let me show you then what it looks like from...
Sir, if you were starting to kind of, I'm giving you a little bit of leeway over the normal time limit. If we could start moving towards conclusion, please.
I just showed these final pictures. They're all street view pictures. This is on 436, the main entrance into the shopping center. This looks like it's pretty successful, but if you look at the Oxford Road area, it is less than optimal development. In fact, I've been a planner for 40 years, and I would call it a blighted area, and that's why it's created to incentivize the construction and the development of Oxford. But it's important that this building especially has viability, and viability is going to mean that they need to be visible from the street for wayfinding purposes and also for identification purposes. So I won't show any more of those others. You've probably been by the site, you've probably seen it from 436, also from Fernwood Boulevard, also from Oxford Road. Those are the basic public rights-of-way that surround this property, that signage is going to be critical for identification and wayfinding. Other questions?
Gentlemen?
Yes.
Please.
All right. Could we please put up on the screen the 6 short answers to the variance criteria questions, that slide?
I don't think we have a slide that,
I think that's just in our agenda packet.
Okay, it's in my agenda packet then, never mind. I have a question about one of the short answers that you put for one of those questions, sir. You said, over the years, this building obviously has not been economically viable because of its location and placement on this very irregular lot. Excuse me, that sounds to me not like you giving an opinion, that sounds like an assertion of fact. What evidence do you have that that property is not economically viable because of the signage?
Well, it was developed in 1988.
Okay.
The construction's 1988. And there have been 3 separate entities in there since 1988. The last was a vacancy for several months. So it's a difficult location because of its severe setback from especially 346. And an interior lot. Until the store next door, the floor store was there, it's now generated quite a bit of traffic. But if you look at the parking lot in that area, that very large parking lot, there are signs of underdeveloped commercial responses to the market and so forth. So
All right.
it not only helps with visibility, but also economic viability.
All right. 3 separate tenants over the span of 35 years doesn't sound like an excessive amount of turnover to me. However, I will move on to another question. if this property was so economically non-viable to you, is this not something that your leasing agent from your commercial real estate company would have sat down with you and at the time they prepare the pro forma with you, that would have been disclosed to you at that time?
Well, I was told by the tenant that when they were working with the owner of the property, they were told that the square footage was 2 square feet per linear foot, which it is all the way around them except for those properties facing Oxford Road. So, yeah, going from 30 square feet to 330 square feet is a dramatic reduction in what they had anticipated as signage.
I don't think you're answering quite the question that I'm asking. The question that I'm asking is, it seems like your client leased the property based on the condition of it being, as you claim, economically unviable, but it was your client's choice to lease the property at the price that was quoted to him by the property owner. Should the economic non-viability of the property not have been baked into the price?
I don't know those negotiations, but all I know is in terms of signage, the tenant was promised that they would be able to conform to the signage, which was in that area 2 square feet per linear foot of building frontage. I knew that only because I was first rejected by staff when they said that this is in the Oxford Road district and you're only allowed 30 square feet per tenant. And so those expectations that the tenant had were drastically reduced because of someone never did the due diligence in checking really the exact provisions of the Oxford Road provisions.
All right. I'm not unsympathetic to you, and I see the benefit of a viable tax-generating business in the space. I just had questions about your choice of language.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Any other
No further
questions?
questions.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Is there anyone in the audience who also would like to speak in support of this matter? Seeing none, is there anyone to speak in opposition? Gentlemen, your pleasure.
I'll make a motion to deny. Would that be no second?
I'm not seconding.
Okay.
All right, the matter dies for lack of a second, which means denied. And as I've said to other persons, you do have the ability within 15 days to appeal this, sir. After the meeting or tomorrow, staff can help you with that. No?
I would like to make a motion of my own.
My denial.
You're right. You're absolutely
He now
right.
makes a motion.
You're absolutely right. My apologies. Your motion. Sorry.
I jumped.
It's all right. I would like to make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
No, not for me.
All right. The matter then fails for lack of a second. So, as I was saying, I'm sorry, but you do have the ability to appeal within 15 days. Staff can help you with that process, sir. Wish you luck. Next matter.
Item number 6 is a request for a height variance from 3 feet to 4.5 feet for a fence in the R1A Single Family Dwelling District and the Lakewood Shores Second Edition subdivision located at 253 Summerwood Trail. The proposed fence will be 4.5 feet in height and exceeding the height requirement by 1.5 foot, excuse me. The proposed privacy fence will be approximately 0 feet from the sidewalk and 8.5 feet from the edge of pavement. There have not been any prior variances for the subject property or building permits for the existing wall. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions? For staff, I should say. Seeing none, is the applicant here? Come on down if you'd like to. You don't have to.
Okay.
I do have a question for staff while the
Yes, sir.
homeowner is making his way down here.
So just leisurely stroll down.
Yeah. No prior variances for the subject property or permits for the existing wall.
Correct.
would a variance or building permit for the wall have been necessary? Should there be one for the wall?
I don't know how tall the wall is. If it's only 3 feet in height, if it exceeds 3 feet in height, then
This
yes.
isn't,
Do we have a picture of the wall that's in it?
that isn't my residence. That's the next street over,
I didn't pick it up.
Spartan. So Summerwood,
Is that aerial photograph your property, sir?
yeah,
Okay.
I think, yes.
Well, let's do this, Tom, if you're okay with it, since staff isn't sure, when the gentleman's finished, you can put your question to him if that's okay.
All right.
Yes, sir, please, if you give us your name and address for the record, and
Doug Bearden,
Okay.
253 Summerwood Trail. And I just want to, we have that wall in the front that's 4'6", and it was there when we bought the house 5 years ago. So we just want to match the side fence that's supposed to be 36 inches to the height of the wall, so it all kind of blends, on the setback of 25 feet. Yeah, that's not the picture, though.
We need to get it off this, that's not his property.
Yes.
staff is the best in the business.
Yeah, they are. Thank you. So, yeah, there's the wall,
Guys, can you see it okay? All right.
and I want to match it on the right side. The setback at 25 feet is about the tree. And so I want to just put a little fence so it matches the top instead of step down at 36 inches, you know.
Mr. Bearden, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. Is your house the one on the left where the blue truck is, or the one on the
Yes,
right?
on the left.
Okay, gotcha. Yes, sir. No, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Please go on.
So, yeah, we just want to match the wall instead of which is 4'6", and the setback is 36 inches is the height. So I wanted to bring it up to match the top on the 25-foot setback.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Gentlemen, do you have any questions for the applicant? Thank you for your time, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, I have a question.
Thank you.
Psych, one more question.
Two questions, actually. If you could put the street view photo back up, if you still have it, please. I looked at it earlier. It looks like if you continue the fence along that line that you proposed, it's going to take out that tree you have in your front yard. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, it's on both our properties, so I'm just going to have to go close to it.
Oh, so you're not going to cut it down?
No, no.
Okay.
I
And,
mean, it's dying, but it's got a ways to go, so.
okay. And also, because, as you've seen here tonight, because this is so important, I didn't see in the application any mention of neighbor support or opposition. Could you speak to that? Did you speak to your neighbors where this wall would be?
We're not allowed to.
Are they in witness protection? What's going on?
No, we have a restraining order on them, so
Oh,
On you or on them?
we have it on them.
Oh, my. Okay.
He said we can't talk about it, but,
Yeah, well, asked and answered.
I was close.
so,
You were.
just trying to,
So that's that. We won't put you on the spot.
Okay.
That's that. Any other questions, gentlemen? Never a dull moment. Thank you, sir.
all right. That's a first. Thank you.
Okay.
Apologies if that caused you any embarrassment.
No,
Is there anyone in the audience to speak in support of this matter? Is there anyone in the audience in opposition to this? All right, gentlemen, your pleasure.
It's all you, boss.
Motion to approve, so we can at least have a discussion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve, seconded.
All right. So with that surprise bombshell, does that change anything for us?
Each of us makes their own determinations based on the evidence before us.
The way I see it, the county has done due diligence in placard being out, shown, and stuff being mailed out. They knew this was happening. And in lights of anything legal between them and their attorney, their neighbors, they could have, there is a section where it says you can write in and say no or yes to it. And seeing how there was nothing there, the county does a very good job at sending out those notices.
And I never received any phone calls, if that even, sometimes they'll call and just double check what's going on, but I didn't.
So,
I agree with Austin on that, is that if you have a problem with it, show up.
yes.
You know, I don't think the silence, we should presume anything from silence.
For all we know, they might want a fence between them and their neighbor.
And he's paying for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes it's golden, so.
Yeah.
So, anything else then? I'll put up for a vote. All those in favor?
What was the motion again?
Motion to approve.
Just, okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. Aye.
Motion, aye. For you also, Austin, aye?
Absolutely,
Aye for me
sir.
as well. It passes. Best of luck.
Thank you.
You mean that hardly.
And I appreciate you saving that tree.
Yeah, thank
I just want to note, when I put the address into Property Appraiser and did the street view, it showed up that picture. So it's a glitch that must be in Property Appraiser.
Happens.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
she
thank you.
called me, the lady on that house, said, what are you doing? You know, I said, nothing. I didn't know that it showed a glitch. You know that house
Yes. Yeah.
on Spartan, so.
That's never happened.
Have a good night. Batter up, next one.
All right, good evening. For the record, Hillary Payton, Planning and Development. Item number 7 is a variance request for 2997 Boland Drive, located in the Seminole Terrace subdivision. The request is for a side street setback reduction from 25 feet to 10 feet for a privacy fence in the R1 AA zoning district. The subject property is a corner lot and has 2 front yards for setback purposes. The front of the house faces Boland Drive. The Kerrigan Avenue side is where the variance is being sought. The request is to bring into compliance the construction of a 6-foot vinyl privacy fence encroaching 15 feet into the side street setback. The privacy fence is 21 feet from the edge of pavement and is without a sidewalk to encroach upon. Traffic engineering has no objection to the placement of the fence as it relates to site visibility. A code enforcement violation number 23-37 was issued for this structure, resulting in the necessity of this variance. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any questions for staff?
No, but of clarification for you, Mr. Hadaway, because you may or may not realize this. As I was reviewing this, I had to do a double take because this looked so similar to an item we had on the agenda from last month. Another property that was a few blocks away where the lot configuration was almost identical. It is a different property. Okay.
I appreciate you looking that up, though. Vigilance. Because as we discussed, sometimes mistakes happen, and no, teasing. All right, well, is the applicant here then?
Yes.
Come on down, sir. And you please state your name and address for the record when you get up there.
Name is Giancarlo San Clemente, 2997 Boland Drive, Oviedo, Florida. Bought the property, I believe 3 years ago. Contacted a fence company, built a fence. We thought we did all the required permits. Didn't know that a setback was required. The idea was just to follow the neighbor behind me, their fence. Just follow that all the way to the back of the house. So I believe that's about 10 feet. If it were to be 25 feet, it would get in the way of a well, and it would look really ugly, to the rest of the neighborhood. So just looking to align the back neighbor and just a little privacy fence, nothing major.
I would tell you, if we had a nickel for every time someone came in and said, oh, the fence company told me. So I understand your situation. Gentlemen, questions for the applicant?
None.
No.
Easy enough, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience to speak in support of this? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience to speak in opposition? Seeing none. Gentlemen, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good luck with your fence. Well, enjoy your fence.
Item number 8 is a variance request for 2348 Green Symphony Place located in the Chapman Pines subdivision. The request is for a side street setback reduction from 20 feet to 5 feet for a privacy fence in the R1BB zoning district. The subject property is a corner lot and has 2 front yards for setback purposes. The front of the house faces Green Symphony Place. The Trinkle Spruce Way side is where the variance is being sought. The request is to bring into compliance the construction of a 6-foot vinyl privacy fence 15 feet into the side street setback. The privacy fence is 5 feet from the sidewalk and approximately 17 feet from the edge of pavement. Traffic engineering has no objection to the placement of the fence as it relates to site visibility. The proposed privacy fence encroaches into a 10-foot utility easement, and a building permitting will be required to meet the criteria for placement with an estoppel letter. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any questions for staff?
Once again, not a question, but additional information. The application did reference another house in the subdivision, 2314 Ivy Harvest Place. I got a response from staff today that a 5-foot variance was granted for that property in February of 2022. Additionally, there was another property in the same subdivision, 2356 Green Symphony Place. In October of 2022, this board gave them a 5-foot variance, again, for a fence.
I appreciate
There will be
you looking
another
that up.
one
Thank
next
you.
month as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Sir, please. So if you'd share your name and address for the record.
Francis Enriquez, 2348 Green Symphony Place, Oviedo, Florida, 32765.
What do you have for us, sir?
I think you're gonna have 15 cents, you said, for every time, you click nickel. We built the fence. I just copied one of my back door neighbors, is 2314 Anthony. I love the way the fence looked, so I told the guy to build the fence, and then I got a notice that I had to, I'm new to Florida, guys, I'm sorry. So I had to do the permit thing here, so I applied for it, and then I did the whole paperwork problem, and that was it.
That happens a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, sir.
All right, well, thank you. Gentlemen, any questions? No. Answer? Thank you. Anyone in the audience to speak in support? Seeing none, as things are thinning out here. Anyone to speak in opposition? Seeing none. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, sir.
Thank you very much.
Number 9.
Item number 9 is a variance request for 9709 Bear Lake Road located in the McNeil's Orange Villa subdivision. The request is for a rear yard setback reduction from 30 feet to 5.49 feet and a south side yard setback reduction from 10 feet to 1.91 feet for a shed in the R1AA zoning district. The request is to bring into compliance the construction of a 262 square foot shed that encroaches 8.09 feet into the south side yard setback and 24.51 feet into the rear yard setback. On June 26, 2023, this item was heard before this board and granted variances based on the site plan previously received at 6.8 feet in the rear and 2.19 feet on the south side yard. But after the permit was submitted, it was determined that the structure is actually closer than originally approved for, resulting in the necessity of these additional variances. Code enforcement violation number 22-87 was issued for this structure, resulting in the necessity of these variances. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions for staff? All right, is the applicant here? Please come on down. And if you could please share your name and address for the record.
My name is Maria Bonilla, and the address is 9709 Bear Lake Road.
And my name is Bill Martinez, address 9709 Bear Lake Road.
All right, what would you like to share with us?
Oh, I guess we measured wrong the last time we were here, so we got to redo it again. That's basically it.
Okay. Wow, someone just came in and said I made a mistake. That never. Thank you. Thank you for your candor. Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions for the applicant? No. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience to speak in support of this matter? Seeing none. Anyone in opposition? Seeing none. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Enjoy.
Item number 10 is variance request for 5522. That was not going out right.
Is that a technical term?
That'll be in the minutes.
It was erasing by mistake, that's all it was. Cretan Way, located in the Fernbrook Trail subdivision. The request is for a fence height variance from 6.5 feet to 7 feet for a privacy fence in the Bear Gully Plan Development. The request is for a fence height variance, 6.5 to 7 feet, for approximately 118 linear feet of wood fence. The proposed privacy fence encroaches into a utility easement, and that building permitting will be required to meet the criteria for placement within a estoppel letter. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? All right, seeing none, is the applicant here? Come on down, sir. If you could please share with us your name and address for the record.
Glenn Hill, 5522 Cretan Way, Winter Florida.
What do you have for us, sir?
I'm asking for the 7-foot fence. It's currently 7 feet, and just want to have it was damaged during the storm, the most recent storm, and finally having a reputable company come in and replace the fence. In time before, I've had people come in and do it, and they pretty shoddy work. That's the reason why it looks the way it looks. If you look at one of the other pictures, you can see from the side. Did you put the other pictures up there? That one. Those pictures, and then another one from the back of the house. You can see it's just shoddy. This picture here is just to give you an idea of my neighborhood. The people really don't care about the fences, obviously. These fences have been damaged years ago, never been replaced. And if you go back to the picture previously, that fence, that's what my fence would look like if I had a 6-foot fence there. So I'm trying to avoid that because of the
dip?
The lay of the land. So if I had a 7-foot fence all the way across, it would be even and look a lot nicer than something like that. So that's what I'm trying to avoid.
Gotcha, makes sense. Gentlemen, any questions for the applicant? Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience to speak in support? Seeing none? If you want to just do it for kicks, anyone in the audience to do it in opposition, anyone here to speak in opposition to this matter? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, sir. Enjoy your fence.
Thank you for your time.
Item number 11 is a variance request for 2949 Bayhead Run, located in the Estates at Aloma Woods subdivision. The request is for a rear yard setback reduction from 30 feet to 15 feet and an east side yard setback reduction from 10 feet to 8 feet for a covered patio addition in the R1AA zoning district. The request is to construct a covered patio addition 15 feet into the rear yard setback, 2 feet into the east side yard setback. The property abuts a conservation and drainage tract and a retention and drainage tract. The Estates at Aloma Woods Homeowners Association has approved the request. A letter of support has been received from the directly affected neighbor. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? Seeing none? I'm going to presume you're the applicant, sir. Come on down.
I think
Even I can get that one.
it's the applicant's contractor.
Oh, okay. Would you please share with us your name and address for the record?
D.C. Johnson, 1400 South Ronald Reagan Park Boulevard, Longwood.
Yes, sir. What do you have for us?
Just wanted to point out, especially in that photo of the discovery, is the house we're speaking of is an end house. The current setback is to the back of the house. The 30-foot is to the back where nothing can be added. And the reason we're wanting to go halfway in and still leave another 15 feet, and the only reason we're asking for the small side setback is because that house is built on an angle on that lot. So in order to stay even with the house, then the house is into that setback also. So we're just trying to keep it straight. And if you'll notice, of course, the next door neighbor had sent the consent letter, and then the other two neighbors beside them received the same thing that we're trying to get here. And behind the house, obviously, is a green belt, To the right side of the house is a green belt for like 500 feet to the next house. So it's really, the people on this side are okay with it, and there's nobody behind or on the other side.
Sounds good. Gentlemen, any questions?
Sir, your relationship to the homeowners is, for the record, what?
I'm sorry?
What is your relationship to the homeowners? Are you their contractor?
I'm a contractor, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir, for your time. Is there anyone here to speak in support of the applicant? Seeing none, is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Seeing none. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve in a second. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you both.
Go for it. All right, last thing we have on the agenda is minutes. Do we have a motion?
Was not present.
Motion to accept the minutes as submitted with the one correction that I submitted to staff
What was that?
by email. That was one word.
We have a second?
I wasn't here.
You can still second it.
You can trust me, you know.
Okay, I'll trust you. A second then.
All right. We have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? Minutes are approved. We are adjourned. Thank you all so very much. And thank you for putting up with me. Thank you.
You did good.
Thank you.
Slide that gavel down.
Oh, that's right. Hey, yeah.
Okay, now.